One more woman artist of the Renaissance, who was quite well known in her day, although very few paintings have been attributed to her. There's talk about that, a little attribution problem, is Marietta Robusti, who's also known as La Tintoretta. See the feminine endings of the A's. She is the daughter of Jacopo Robusti Tintoretto, which makes her, of course, a Venetian artist from the late 16th century. She's the daughter of Tintoretto, very, very, very famous artist from Venice. And he loved painting. He had a family with brothers. And she and her brothers trained with their fathers. The brothers Domenichino, Marco, and of course Marietta were the ones who were sort of known by name as going on with painting. This is interesting because remember we said that with Lavinia Fontana she was an only child. Tintoretto didn't have to teach his daughter to paint, but he did. And he seemed to think highly of her skills and seemed to be very, very attached to her. It's said that he wanted to have her with him everywhere, and so sometimes she would be going out in places that women weren't supposed to go, I guess, or not as readily. So when she was young, I'm sure she didn't do this after adolescence, but who knows, she was supposed to have worn boys' clothes when she would go out and accompany her father, and that is highly unusual. She's shown here in what is believed to be a self-portrait. With the virginals once again. There's a keyboard in the background. She's holding music. And so she is showing that she is an accomplished musician. And then, of course, we have that thing that we've seen all along, its association with virginity and female chastity and virtue associated with a woman who is skilled on a keyboard. Here she's just standing next to it. This other portrait, it looks like the same woman, so they think perhaps it is a self-portrait. And this is very frontal, with very, very rich garments here. So quite a different pose. Jacopo Robusti has a nickname. It's Tintoretto, and it means the little dyer. And it's because his father dyed cloth for a living. So he became known as the Tintoretto, the little dyer. And then, of course, when they're giving the nickname to his daughter, it becomes La Tintoretta, making it feminine, the female little dyer. Marietta Robusti did have some opportunities, but her father refused. So this is very, very different than what Almacari does with Sofonisba's career. Rather than promoting his daughter's career as an independent artist, he says, he doesn't want to part with her. He wants her to stay with him, and we saw this with Prospero. Worked out a little better for Lavinia Fontana than it did for Marietta Robusti. She was offered positions as a court painter. What would have been better for her career? And we have that example, of course, of what happened with Sofonisba. She even got a dowry for a husband out of it, if that was what women were supposed to do in the Renaissance, and really right up until the present day. The Emperor Maximilian II offered her a position. Philip II of Spain requested her as a court painter. But Jacopo, her father, refused, and he says he doesn't want to part with his daughter. And then he goes and he arranges a marriage to a Venetian jeweler who is willing to live with them so that Jacopo can continue to enjoy his daughter's presence. And as the Guerrilla Girls suggest, and I probably should have put that in here, but the Guerrilla Girls have a little cartoon in their book of art history in which Tintoretto doesn't want to part with his daughter's skills. And they imply that the great paintings of Tintoretto were actually promoted by Tintoretta. Well, she may have contributed to them. They say that after she died, his production drops. Well, he's getting quite old, actually. He dies in 1594, I think. I may be wrong about the last date, the last number. but he paints some pretty wonderful pictures near the end of his life after she is dead. So I don't think that they're right about that. At any rate, but she may have been someone that he thought her skills were great, and her skills could be used in his paintings because his children all contributed to his paintings, which it makes a little confusion of attribution. It's the same thing. Sometimes you'll see a wide variety of skill level in paintings that are attributed to Tintoretto. And you sometimes wonder, I wonder if that one could have been painted by Domenico or Marco or Marietta. But it's, it's one of those things that would be very, very difficult to try to sort out. Her career completely ended when she died in 1590. And that probably was a death in childbirth, because that was very, very common. It's said up until modern times, women had a much lower life expectancy than men. And one of the reasons that women's life expectancy has gone up is because of birth control. And also better medical attention for women when they are in childbirth. And I'm just going to close with this picture. Unfortunately, I don't have a colored image of it. The colored images that I found were not very good. But here's a black and white reproduction from your textbook, actually. And this is an old man and a boy, which has been which was attributed to Tintoretto, Jacopo, the father, until they cleaned it. We talked about this at the very beginning of the course. They cleaned it and they found Marietta's M monogram, and so it had to be reattributed to the daughter. So it's possible that under some Tintorettos there are some Tintoretta hiding.